is everybody? I feel like it has been a very long time. My name is Rachel. This is Woolen Spinning, and this is episode 323. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in and for just spending some time with us. We are having some lighting issues today. I'm not sure what is going on, but my light that's on the right hand side of me is like, it absolutely won't turn on. So who knows? I'll get Mike to look at it later. But I've got another light that's a warmer light. My regular lights are a colder light bulb. This one's quite a warm light bulb, so everything is kind of coated in like this kind of greeny yellow. It's not ideal, but we'll get through because we always do. I hope everybody finds everybody really well. I'm located just outside of Vancouver, British Columbia, here in Canada, in the southwestern part of the province. We come here to talk about all things hand spinning and all things. I wonder is anybody else getting an echo? We come here to talk about all things hand spinning and all things hand spinning, all things knitting with hand spun, and also weaving with our hand spun. So I hope that you are as excited about all of that as I am. And I think probably the best thing to do is just to get right into the show and get into like the crux of kind of what we do here. So delighted, I can't remember your first name, it's on the tip of my tongue. You might want to refresh. So sometimes when there's an echo, you just need to refresh. You might have a speaker on that's extra. There's like different things that might be going on if nobody else is having an echo, which is good. I'm glad we don't have an echo. I am wearing my field day cardigan. I pulled this out. I was in a very pink mood, although it's not registering on the camera as pink because of the yellow light. But if I step over here just a little bit, you guys will be able to see. This is by Haley Schmedley, Ozetta. The field cardigan it's a top down. You start at the back neck and you work short rows, and then you attach everything and work the body all as one piece. I can't remember if this cardigan, I think with this one you also work the button band at the same time, and it's like a 1x1 rib type situation. And I didn't have like the best buttons to put on this, but I think actually these worked okay. They're okay. My Ravelry project page is here for anybody who wants to, why won't it work? For anybody who wants to check it out. And actually this was also my capstone project for the year of color. So a few of us, when we finished the year of color in 2023, and I can't believe it was that long ago. It's almost a full 2 years ago that we finished the year of color, which is crazy because it's like 3 years ago that we started the year of color, which just boof, mind blown. There was a group that really wanted to do kind of like a capstone project in the early new year of that year, sort of December, January, February of 2003 into 2004. And we all kind of wanted to use everything that we had learned and some of the samples that some of us had done. We wanted to kind of put it into practice and see, what it all if we took all of that knowledge and all of that 12 months of learning and reflection and all that kind of stuff, what could we make? And so this was my capstone. So I took a triad, red, yellow, and blue. I used the RYB color wheel, and I combined those three colors together to make a triad, which creates kind of this, in this blend, it came out quite pink, like kind of a pinky brown, and you can see when you look closely, you can definitely see the blue in there, but the yellow basically was lost. And if I were to do this again, I actually think I would blend the three colors even more. I think I put them through the drum carder like 3 or 4 times, and I think in hindsight, if I were to do it again, knowing what I know now, like 2 years is a long time to have to reflect on stuff, I think I would blend the colors even more. And then the other thing was on the sleeve, I ran out of yarn right at the end, and so I had to make some more. And so I think I would just make sure that I had enough, check my yardage a little bit more closely. I do tend to kind of cut it close with yardage anyways. And it's funny because this past weekend when Rebecca was here, I actually found the leftover bobbin of the singles from this sweater that were left over from this project on my Lendrum Saxony. So I was gonna create a center pull ball. I can see that there's areas of this bobbin that have been damaged a little bit just from being in my spinning basket basically. But I thought I would make a center pull ball and ply it up and, you know, throw it in my stash for something in the future. So that was sort of, this sweater's sort of one of those things. I don't grab it very often, but I was feeling kind of in a pink mood today, and I thought, well, it's cool, and what better excuse than to put on a sweater when it's cold? That's what they're for. And yeah. And then my jewelry, I found this a couple of weeks ago, and I meant to show it to Rebecca when she was here, but I completely forgot. I bought this with the necklace and everything. I bought this at, I think it was in Knit City, but like really quite a few years ago, and it's by Ocean Loops, and I think some of you probably follow her. I think she's Spanish. I think she's located in Calgary in Alberta, and it's Ocean Loops Studio, and to find her on Instagram, it's _ocean_loops. But isn't this just so pretty? And they're stitch markers. So the idea is like wearable jewelry, right? To use in your stuff. So anyways, I found it when I was cleaning out. We're still cleaning out for the reno and getting rid of just tons and tons of stuff, and stuff from when the kids were little that I just never got rid of, and lots of donations, lots of books, just all sorts of stuff. And so one of the things that was on my list that I had to do was our bathroom. And I thought this was lost, and I thought it was gone, because after I got home from that particular festival, I'm pretty sure it was Knit City, like years ago. I couldn't find it, and I found it. It was in the back of one of my drawers. So there you go. Thank you, Rebecca. That's very kind. Your outfit is so peak. Thank you. Yeah, and I don't remember this being like really, really expensive. I have a thing for pine cones. So there's a pine cone right there. My brother gave me a pine cone necklace one year, and I wear it sometimes on the show. Anyhow, that is what I'm wearing. Why don't we do housekeeping before we get into it, and then if anybody has any questions, you guys can let me know. So let's do that next, and I will just mute for the duration of the video so there's no background noise and background echo and whatnot, and I will try to remember to unmute on the other side. So I will see you guys then. There are some changes coming to the wool and spinning community in September. We are super excited to start sharing them with you. Please ask lots of questions for clarity and let me know how I can help you navigate it all. Ketchup and Pickles goes out on the 1st of the month each month. They contain all the links and announcements that you need to navigate content and events. Be sure to grab this post when you see it in your email inbox. Color Mania has been released and continues to build on color theory in our spinning. Color Mania seeks to empower you to see and use color in your hand spinning practice, feel confident in the choices you make around color, and to ultimately have fun with color. Released to all patrons in published tiers on Patreon. Check your feed at the beginning of each month. We're at a really exciting time with the Wool Circle because our Spinner's Book of Yarn Designs is starting the final part of our 2-year study. We will be looking at novelty and art yarns from now until Christmas. Please join Rebecca on the Wool Circle. Look for the free trial. For those supporting in the Silk Circle and above, the first module of Breaking a Braid will release this coming Sunday. I'm super excited to share it with you. And great question that I received last week was about the previous Spinning Pearls content. It will remain on Patreon as previously released. So no worries about access to old content or to previous content. Breaking a Braid will release on Sunday for those in those tiers. And thank you again for your support. Spinning Staples and Queries are dedicated Zoom groups with Rebecca and myself, Rachel, to answer questions, navigate the book study, and discuss in-depth hand spinning concepts. Access a dedicated community of spinners who are exploring their craft and inspiring one another face-to-face over Zoom. Our community groups meet informally throughout the week. Look for the Zoom link in Slack at the time of the meeting. These calls are an opportunity to ask questions, learn about Slack and Patreon, and get help navigating content. The post with meeting link goes live the night before on Patreon. Yay! Okay, if anybody has any questions about what's going on this month on Patreon, or you're just wondering about like accessing stuff or you can't get into stuff, please let me know. Please get in touch. I am always available. I had a really great question from somebody recently about she's having trouble accessing the live chat. I did respond to on Patreon. So we're always sort of, trying to navigate things, making sure everybody has access to everything and making sure everybody's, getting the full value that they're hoping for. Eliane was saying in chat that it's a cold evening where she is in Norway, but that there was a very heavy storm passing through this weekend. People lost their houses, their garages, their cars. I'm so sorry to hear that, Eliane. I hope that it's a speedy recovery for those who had property damage and that they can get things rebuilt quickly. All right. So we have one of the things about the woolen spinning community and about Patreon in particular is that we have the audio podcast. There's certain topics that just don't lend themselves to being in video format. And I think sometimes we just want to be able to put our earbuds in and go about the vacuuming and do the laundry and wash the dishes and go for a walk. And maybe we don't have a friend to call right at that moment because they're at work, or, we're just not in the mood to chat with somebody. And we want to listen to people from our, sort of, I call it our inner, in my mind, I think of it as like our inner sanctum. Those of us who are really passionate about what we're making and what we're doing and really want to talk about this stuff more. The Woolen Spinning Radio is that show. And so if you are looking for something to tune into when you're looking to be able to connect and want to listen, but you don't want to necessarily be looking at a screen because you've got stuff to do, Woolen Spinning Radio is your answer. You can get it anywhere that you collect your audio podcasts. I use Pocket Casts. I know a lot of people use iTunes, Spotify, Audible. The most recent episode is live. And actually this was kind of a fun one because Dion took the role of interviewer and she interviewed me and Rebecca about Knit City after Rebecca was here for the week. And the house has felt very empty without her and Naomi here. And then we kind of, Rebecca and I got to the end of Knit City. It was the end of Sunday. I had a terrible cold all weekend. And Melissa of Melly Knits started showing me some fleeces and some blending that they had been doing with some various different types of add-ins that they use. And a couple of them were still on display and they were going to go up on the website the next day. And her and I started talking about this very cool thing called porosity. And porosity is something that I'm going to be exploring in my upcoming course with the School of Sweet Georgia. It's been something we've been talking about a lot in queries over the last few months. We've been talking about it a lot in some of the maker mornings. And we got into quite a little rabbit hole on Woolen Spinning Radio. So if you don't want to hear about Knit City, Vancouver, and you're not super interested, although I think we covered a lot of ground and there was a lot of stuff that was fun to talk about, and I hope you enjoyed listening. If you want to skip that, you can go to about 45 minutes in and there's the discussion about porosity toward the end. So I hope you enjoy the episode. We had a lot of fun recording it this month. We've had it's really neat. It's really fun to be able to record with three people. Like when it was just me and Rebecca, it was fun and we always had really neat things to talk about. And she always has such thoughtful questions to ask when we're discussing a topic. And I so deeply appreciate that about Rebecca. But having that third person and having that third dynamic is really fun because it just adds another voice, it adds another perspective. And it's been really fun for me and Rebecca to sort of open things up a little bit and welcome Dion onto the team. So this episode is available wherever you catch your podcast. And if you want the direct Patreon link, I'll throw it into the live chat now, but you can always go to patreon.com/woolenspinning and search for episode 323, and all of the links to everything that I share will come up in that episode, in those episode notes. especially if you're watching this later, you know, down the road and it's a couple months from now and you're just catching up and whatnot, you can always go click in the down bar. There's a link for the actual Patreon post that correlates to this episode, and you can get all the links there. All right. I think that's everything for our intro today. So let's run our main credits so that I can get organized for our next segment. And I'll see you guys on the other side. That's really cute. That was really cute. Rebecca says, we had our first real snow yesterday. I'm relieved, but Naomi's depressed. I heard all about Naomi's love-hate relationship with the North while she was here. It was really fun. Deidre says, Michigan temps dropped about 20 degrees overnight. So yesterday she finished her first singles on the Hansen e-spinner. That's awesome. Hansen mini spinner. She's hooked. That's amazing, Deidre. Yeah, it's funny. We are definitely a bit cooler than we were. The trees are just starting to change here. They were starting to change when Rebecca was here, but it wasn't marked. It's still not super colorful yet. It tends to be like after Canadian Thanksgiving, which is this coming weekend, that the trees really start to change, and then the temperatures really start to drop. So we're still kind of sitting anywhere between 16 and 18 right now Celsius, which I have to admit is kind of nice because we've been outside a ton for soccer this fall, and it's been really nice not to have like, you know, a crazy cold temperatures just yet. All right, I have a really big project to share with you that I finished while Rebecca was here. And actually the spoiler photo has been sitting right here this whole time that we've been chatting. And this is all part of the textured yarn unit that Rebecca is spearheading right now on the Wool Circle. So I think without any further ado, let's get into that. And I don't have a title like an episode header for textured yarn, and I feel like I should make one for like the odd time that I do have a lot of textured yarn to talk about. So just pretend that instead of skeined that this says textured yarn. So I should have grabbed from Yarn a Texture by Jillian Moreno. I should have grabbed that book to show this to you guys. But years ago, one of the members of our community, Greta Lynn, had spun and knit the goddess pullover that's from that book. And I just loved it. And I thought she did just an absolutely fantastic job. And so this is going back a while now, because this was Advent 2022, and it was from our dear friend Liz of Kingdom Fleece and Fiber Works. The Advent was 12 ounces for your last, like on day 25, you got 12 ounces of fiber. And one of them was sparkle, and one of them was, it was pin drafted roving. And one of them had sparkle added to it, and one of them was just plain. And I ended up switching mine with Laureline, and she took my white, I think mine was undyed. Was it undyed? It was white. And I took her mustard yellow. And this is a Columbia Dorset cross. It's not a blend, it's a cross. So it was, the sheep was this. And I did some initial sampling because for whatever reason, I knew that I wanted to core spin this and I wanted it to be really, really, really textured. So I did some initial sampling with the early yarn, and for the core I used a kid mohair silk yarn, so sort of like a Rowan, what's it called, Rowan Hayes, sort of a yarn like that. And I used the core, and I like those cores. Crystal loves them, Rebecca loves them. They're just grippy, and if you can get some on sale in colors that you don't particularly like when they're clearing out at your local yarn shop or online, grab it regardless of what the color is, because you can throw it in your stash for Corespinning down the road, because it's just got that grip that you really like, that we really like for Corespinning. So I did this initial sampling and I wanted it to be really super textured. And then with these initial samples, and I didn't really talk about this on the show that much, but with these initial samples, I did up a knitted swatch. And the Goddess pullover is actually done with thick and thin singles, and it's sort of a slub yarn. So the samples and what Jillian shows in the book is a slub yarn. So I sort of thought, well, if I can create a really textured corespun, I can go for the same effect, but I can corespin. And this is roving, it's pin drafted, it's a woolen prep, it'll really work well for that. So this was the knitted swatch. And if you look at the, I'm going to flip it around. If you look at the top here, you probably can't really see it, but there's some purl bumps here and some purl bumps right there where my ring finger is. And so these three sections are all different gauges. I use different knitting needles for each section, and you can see that it's quite loose and quite open, and it goes all the way down to a little bit tighter and a little bit more closed. I'm sure you can guess which one I chose. This being so open and so airy and almost a bit gauzy, where you can kind of stick your finger through it a little bit, I would worry about that long term for wear because of just the areas of the yarn that I intentionally left really textured in the Corespinning would eventually work their way free and would probably abrade quite badly and maybe wouldn't wear particularly well. My only concern about the tighter knit section, which is sort of more toward the bottom here, along here, is that because it is a little bit tighter, you do lose some of the texture, which is kind of too bad. The middle piece of the swatch is actually probably the best, but it's still pretty gauzy. And I think this is done on, let me see if I can figure it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Somebody's going to help me with conversion. Yeah, I think it's done with US size 4, US size 5, and US size 6 needles. So the US size 6 was pretty open and pretty gauzy. And I think US size 4, is that 4 millimeter? Or is that 3.5 millimeter? I think the US size 4 is 3.5 millimeter. So up here, you know, it's pretty small needle and it's still not super, super tight. So that's where I started. And I kind of ended up with this thought of like, you know what? Regardless of what this shows me and regardless of like, you know, what I end up settling on for the gauge, I kind of like the fabric and it's kind of fun and it's Corespun, and I've never knit an entire sweater out of Corespun. And Rebecca did one years ago that she shared in the Slack channel. And I just sort of thought, you know, I think it would just be really fun to do. So I'm not sure I ever showed this on the podcast, but I did finish the first 6 ounces. And the first 6 ounces did not have any sparkle added to it. So these are those 3 skeins here. And I purposefully left them quite textured and quite thick and thin in places. And I wasn't going for a really super smooth Corespun. And this photo, the reason why I left this up here while I'm chatting is you can see the curly cues in the bottom of the photo there. This photo I took before I washed it. And it's accurate to color, and you can see even here, like it's pretty bright. It's almost like, it has like an orange, like I would almost say this is like yellow orange, if you were looking at a color wheel. Dion maybe would have like the perfect color or like be able to articulate what this color is actually called, but this isn't really yellow. It's more orange. It's actually quite similar to my hair, which is kind of too bad, and I'm tempted to over dye it, but I don't know if I want to go there. So while Rebecca was here, this is not washed, but this is the other 3. I finished them off. So this was the little bit that was left over that didn't fit on the bobbin that I had to, you know, start a new bobbin. So it's just this little one. So I'll get this washed and I'll use this for a little bit more swatching. And then these are the 2 that I finished while Rebecca was here. And these have sparkle in them. So the question now is, because it's so subtle and the sparkle is so subtle, you'll never be able to see it on the camera. And I've tried a couple of times to take photos and I really can't show it. Like I can't get the camera to pick up on it. My question, or I keep pausing, I guess is the right word, trying to figure out if I should alternate the skeins and have like 1 or 2 rows of plain, 1 or 2 rows of sparkle, or if I should have sections of the sweater, because I'm kind of leaning towards doing something more like what I'm wearing. I was going to do Rebecca's circle cardigan that she posted in the Slack channel. And if you have a link for that, Rebecca, throw that in the live chat if you can. If not, don't worry, we'll link it later. But I kind of wanted something more like what I'm wearing, but like thick, like, you know, something like this. I think it'd be really fun. So yeah, now I'm trying to decide. So these are the 3 that I finished. And while we, oh, and then the other thing is, and I don't know if you guys will be able to see this, but the colors are slightly different. Oh yeah, you can definitely see that. The colors are different. So this one is slightly more ochre and slightly more yellow than the original, the first batch that I spun. This is more orange. So I think actually I'm answering my own question. I am going to have to stripe them because there is a difference. So I'm going to have to go either row by row or every 2 rows because they are actually quite different. I can see quite a difference. That kind of answers my question at least. So let's talk about Corespinning a little bit. I really like Corespinning. It's one of my favorite things to do. And Rebecca has spent quite a lot of time on the Wool Circle talking about Corespinning. And I've done quite a few teaching vlogs about Corespinning. So this is just a little kind of excerpt, if you will, of one of our old teaching videos creating smooth corespun. So I was intentionally going for textured corespun here. I wanted the thick and thin, and I wanted to let the bits of texture go from the roving. I didn't want it to draft really super evenly, and I wanted sort of it to look really textured in the finished sample. But this is from years ago, from our 51 yarns study that we did back in, was that 2020 and 2021, I think. It went on for a long time. It was 2 years, same as this study that we're doing right now. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this. Hang on, I have to mute, not get rid of me. So notice how I am holding the core directly out from the orifice of the wheel toward my belly button. And I am allowing the fibers to draft passively around the core, wrapping themselves around, and then moving on to the next section. I'm keeping it quite slow and allowing the fibers to gently twist around, creating a smooth yarn. You can see here on the bobbin, like I was using my Lendrum jumbo bobbin, and you can see here like how quickly the bobbin fills up. Like it's incredible. Corespun just fills up jumbo bobbins like that. It is so fast. So one of the things that I do, what I did with this one, because I've ended up with like 8 skeins, 7 skeins, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 7 skeins. I used my Ashford E spinner for this spin, and it made it really super fast, but also the bobbins are really big. So I could have used my Lendrum and put on the jumbo bobbin, but what I ended up doing was using my Ashford because my Lendrum's set up right now for spinning cotton. So I didn't want to take that off and not like, you know, have that. So yeah, that's the one thing with Corespinning is it does tend to fill up your bobbins really super fast. And in the show notes, if you grab the link for the show, for this specific show notes on Patreon today, if you grab that link, and I'll throw it, it's down below, but I'll also throw it into the live chat so that you guys have it. In that post, I've linked to all of the teaching content over the last number of years, all the stuff that Rebecca's done on the Wool Circle, all the stuff that I've done in the teaching content over the years. It's all linked in that episode. So if you want to learn more, head over there, join Patreon, and then do that. Catch up on all that content. I have to show you a little sidebar. Side quest right now. Nora and her little friends at school. She's got this lovely group of friends that she's met since starting French. And one of the girls makes these crocheted stuffed animals, and they're not amigurumis because they're bigger. And she finds like YouTube videos and stuff to follow and tutorials and whatnot to make. Anyways, Nora made me one with Gianne, and she left it on my desk a little while ago, so it even has a tail. Like, isn't that just the sweetest thing? And then for Gianne's birthday party, a couple of weeks ago, Rebecca and Naomi were here, but Nora was able to go just for a couple of hours, and she actually gave her yarn and a crochet hook to make a crocheted blanket, because the pink one from years ago, some of you might remember, Nora had made it for her bed, and Jan saw it and was like, oh, I want one of those. So Nora got her the yarn and gave her that as a gift. But yeah, isn't that just the cutest little thing? So now it sits here on my desk. So they come home from school and they sit on the front porch outside and they're all crocheting. Like, isn't that amazing? It's so great. So yeah, we've had a lot of fun with all of that. I do have a little bit of a slideshow to show you guys of all this yarn. Somebody said in the chat, I'm trying to find, yeah, Rebecca said seeing them together, I'd absolutely alternate. And then Christine said one is mustard and one is ginger. I never thought to describe this one as ginger, but yeah, you're right, Christine. That's a really great description, because you're right. It has that ginger quality to it, whereas this is more of a yellow. They're still both there's definitely an undertone of orange in both of them, but really fun yarn. It was fun to make, and I'll figure out what I'm going to do for my gauge swatch at some point, and I'll share that with you guys as it goes. Yeah, a goddess pullover spackle. Absolutely. Spin along, knit along. That's what spackle stands for. Absolutely. I don't know if I want a pullover though. I think I want a cardigan. So I might have to modify it into a cardigan. But yeah, some sort of a corespun along to knit, like to spin and knit, would be really fun, because we don't do that very often with corespun. So if anybody else wants to do something, let us know and post in the general channel on Slack, and me and Rebecca will come up with something. Okay, I think that's it for that. Let me just double check that I said everything I wanted to say. I have been doing a lot of fiber prep, and a lot of the reason for that is because I'm really trying to get through my stash, and I'm really trying to, like, stash down some of not only the fleeces but the braids, and just sort of generally get things out of my stash. Yes. You know Rebecca, she's like a big old Gramps Cardi. Exactly. Yeah, I'm just really trying not to bring a lot of fiber into my stash right now. And I was extremely well behaved at Knit City. I bought one braid of one thing, which we'll talk about in a minute. And I've been just really like diligent about making sure that I'm not amassing stuff. Part of that is because we're moving out and we're doing our big reno. Part of that is just feeling like some of my stuff has been in my stash for a really long time, and I want to use it and get it out. The other thing too is I don't know if it's a need. That might not be the right word, but I have a lot of hand spun yarn, and I think that, there's a huge part of me that, like, I would like to start seeing some of that get used up as well. And because there's only so much time in the day, because, newsflash, we only get 24 hours each, which just bites. I want to get like some of that stuff used up as well. So I'm just kind of thinking about like how to turn over my stash a little bit right now. So one of the things that I've been working on is these two fleeces that have been in my stash for a little bit. The Jacob Lincoln hasn't been in there for too long. But I thought we could talk about that next. So let's talk about fiber prep. Okay, I can see you guys are still talking about the Corespinning spackle. And so delighted with saying that vests are very in right now. I totally agree. And I saw one we're going to do a little side quest here just for a second. I also have to tell you something about Nora in just a sec. So just bear with me for like 1 second here. I might not be able to find it, but there is a vest that I found that is crocheted that I I thought was just brilliant. And I was actually thinking about maybe doing something with that, but with some of my stash yarn, and doing a combination of natural shades and some of the hand-dyed braids that I've spun up that are in my stash. And I just really, really liked the aesthetic of it. I wonder if I'm going to be able to find it. Let's search for crochet. Okay, let me see if I can find it. I might not be able to, and I'll have to post it in the Slack channel later, but it's a granny square vest. Some of you guys have probably seen it. And yeah, I don't want to spend too much time looking for it. But it's a crocheted vest, and you do, like, it's got quite thick granny square, like, arms, I guess, or sleeves, if you like the yoke part, this part here, and it's like quite blocky. It is really cute. So if you guys see that pattern, I'll try and remember later to link it in the Slack channel, and if I forget, just tag me. But I originally saw it because somebody had linked it in the Slack channel in the hand spun pattern reflections thread. So yeah, just I was thinking about a vest as well. And then the other thing was Nora has an Apple Watch now, because she walks to and from school by herself. And so now every so often, it depends on like what's going on, because they're not allowed to use them during school time. But of course they'll be out on the playground for like lunch and recess and stuff. And I get these texts from her that say, "Love you." And then I text her back and I'm like, "Love you more." And then I get a text back that says, "No." It's so lovely. It's nice to be able to connect with them during the day. Okay, fiber prep. So I've got two things. The first thing that I was going to mention was my Twin Oaks farm, which is located in Ontario, my Romney. So I got this from my my friend Jenny. She sent it to me, which is so lovely of her. And this was actually used for one of the articles that's in an upcoming issue of Ply magazine, of Weft magazine, sorry. And I kind of, so I started processing it for that, but in the process, I fell in love with it because I'm really enjoying it. So this is a Romney, like I said. And what was really interesting about it, let me grab a lock for you guys to show you. It's got, it's sort of typical fleece. Different areas of the fleece feel and look different. This one's quite markedly different in places. So the majority of the locks look like this, and they feel quite soft actually. Like for a Romney, it's quite soft. And they've got these curly tips, just like we would expect from a long wool. And Romney can be quite fine, and it tends to have sort of that. When it's a really nice one, it has quite a lot of crimp in it, and this is, you know, been bred to be a hand spinner's fleece. But then there's other areas of this fleece that aren't quite as crimpy, and they're kind of more what I would consider like curly Q. They sort of have like a curling lock structure to them. It's no less fine. It's still fine, and it's still soft, but it's just not quite as crimpy. The locks are about, I think when they're pulled out, I think they're about 5 inches, if my memory is correct. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Rachel, learn how to use a ruler. They're about 4 inches. So a little bit shorter than I thought, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. They're just beautiful. And then same on these locks. You've got like the, you know, the tips, just like you would expect. But you can see how some parts of the fleece are really crimpy, and then other areas are not quite as crimpy. So you can probably surmise this on your own, because, you know, we're all quite intelligent people. These ones are quite a bit easier to lock pop, the ones that aren't quite as curly Q, but the ones that have that more defined crimp and are a little bit more curly Q, I've just been very gently picking them apart. I'm pulling them open a little bit, and then I lock pop them, bang, bang, and then turn it around, pull open the butt, because the butts do get quite tangled. And some of it I've even actually trimmed with scissors just to get some of the really bad knots at the cut end off, and then bang, bang, and I'm done. And then these ones are even faster. The ones that don't have that really super defined crimp structure, they're even faster. I don't have to pick them at all. I can just bang, bang, and then turn them around, open this end up, bang, bang, and I'm done. So I have done a ton of this because on Tuesday, when Rebecca and Naomi were on their last day, we were pretty like exhausted and we'd done a lot. So we set up on the back patio. The weather was beautiful while they were here. We only had a very little bit of rain, and originally the forecast was rain the whole time. And I was just like, well, it is what it is, but we don't get the rain like we used to, like the amount of rain that we used to. And it doesn't last for a really super long time like it used to. There's a theme here. And so she was using my electric carder, and I just stood there and lock popped. So I actually had a lot done already, but I managed to completely fill up my bucket, and this is all lock popped. So after the locks go through the lock pop, this is what they look like. Nice and open, really airy. It gets rid of all the trash and all the short bits. Although there hasn't been a lot of short bits, it's been really good. The trash on this has been very low. And what was really interesting about this fleece is when Jenny sent it to me, she said it's only been suint washed. And it had poor lanolin removal as a result. And so it needed to be scoured again. And so for those who don't know what suint washing is and haven't experienced that before, and this came out, I only needed to do one wash for it. I didn't have to do a whole bunch of washes to get it really clean because it was already like 50% of the way there. But a suint bath or a suint wash is a traditional natural method for cleaning raw, greasy wool, and it uses the sheep's own dried sweat, and it's called suint. This is when people talk about washing fleece and it has like a real barnyard smell and it's left to ferment. This is what they're talking about, is a suint bath. So a suint bath it's a fermentation bath. It's made and created by soaking raw unwashed wool in warm water without soap or detergent. And so it's a natural suint of the potassium salts, of the fatty acids from the sheep's sweat. And then it dissolves in the water, and this creates an alkaline solution that acts as a mild cleaning agent. When fresh fleece is later soaked in this solution, the suint bath helps remove dirt, sweat, and some of the lanolin from the wool through this process. After a few days, it smells like a barnyard. And one of the reasons why I've never gotten into suint baths and kind of explored any of that, because I love fermentation and I think it is just the coolest phenomenon in the world. I just think it's awesome. And I think it's fascinating because I find bacteria fascinating, and I should have been a microbiologist according to my cousin because she is, and I'm so jealous. But because I have neighbors that are literally right next to us, creating that smell intentionally and then them having to live with it, it's not really fair. So I've never really gotten into it. But it can be reused multiple times, and the longer it's used for, the more effective it becomes. So if anybody in our community has done a suint bath or has played with suint, I think Lisa has, we'd love to hear about it. It's like I said, it's not really something that I can do living where I live. I think I could probably get away with it at my mom's because she's on a 1/4 acre and I could set it up like in a corner. But even then, if it can be pretty smelly. I've been around it and it can be pretty odorous. So you have to be careful, right? So that's what I've been working on with the Romney. And then Dion, yeah, Christine. Yeah, she said, I knew you were going to say consideration for neighbors. Yeah, it's not because I don't love fermentation, because I do. I think it's awesome. So that's that project. But then I have this other project, and I have been putting this off because I told myself that I wasn't allowed to get into it until the cotton course for the School of Sweet Georgia was prepared and ready to go. So it's like 90% of the way. So now I've gotten into prepping this. So I kind of got sick of working on the Romney, and so I switched over to working on this on Tuesday with Rebecca. So this is a Jacob Lincoln cross that came from Dion, and this is from 2024. And Dion told me the name of the farm, and it's a local farm to her. And it's called The Woolly Shop. And she's on Etsy, and she sells her stuff on Etsy. And can we just for a moment with Dion's writing? Like, I love her writing. She always has these cool calligraphy pens that she uses, and it's just so cool. Anyhow, she sent me this because we were talking about Jacob, and she was willing to share with me last year, which was just so lovely of her. So this Jacob, and I just finished that other Jacob spin, so I think coming off of that and having enjoyed it so much, I was sort of fired up and ready to start another one. So this Jacob looks like this. So this is the white locks. Not quite as curly, not quite as crimpy. Jacob is classified as a miscellaneous breed. There's a little bit of dirt in here, but it's been lock popping out no problem. And actually what I ended up doing with the other one, this is quite silky and quite smooth. I wouldn't think about adding anything to this except for alpaca or silk. It's just too smooth. And it doesn't have, it kind of almost has like a silky, like undertone to it almost. Like when you feel it, it doesn't feel like there's any holes or anything that you would want to fill. And it's mostly white fleece. There isn't a lot of colored fleece in this one. And of course, Jacob are known for their patches of gray, dark brown, and white. But what I've been doing, and I'll just pull this out so I can show you. So if this is a clump of some of the fleece, there's a little bit of gray in there. What I started doing when Rebecca was here is I started pulling out all the junk, and I actually just stood there and started picking it. I didn't lock pop it at all. I just started picking it open like this. And I will show you the results on the drum carder in just a minute, but let me just show you what it looks like to pick open a fleece. And you just try to get into every nook and cranny, pull out any short bits that don't fit, anything that you want to get rid of, get into the tips, really open those up. Just get it as open as you possibly can. And then that is what goes on the tray of the drum carder. So when you're picking things open and you're really trying to get your fleece really, really open as much as possible, you want to just strategically work your way across those locks. Don't take too much all at once. Get rid of all the trash. A lot of dust and dirt will fall out at this stage, and you end up with sort of a cloud of fiber, and this is what ends up going onto the tray of your drum carder. And because this is such a beautiful little fleece, I have about 500 grams to play with, just shy, which is more than enough for a sweater. I just started picking it, and check out these results. So I picked it. She sent me 3 bags that were vacuum sealed, so that really saved on shipping, and it meant that we could send it through the mail relatively quickly. So she sent me 3 of these, and I haven't cut this one open so I could show you guys what this looks like. And this one has 220 grams in it. Like, she really packed these, like really packed these. This one was 225, and it was even more packed. And they arrived intact, and they were perfect. And this is the results after just a couple of passes off the drum carder. So Rebecca was using my electric one, and so I was working on my hand crank one, and I just pulled these little bats off. But like, this is only a couple of passes, and it's absolutely perfect. Like, look at how smooth that is and how perfect that is. Like, it's so nice. So these bats are going to get opened up, and I will strip them probably in the middle like this. Like, I just ease them apart in the middle so that they come apart in sheets, and that will be what's put through on the drum carder again. So I'll do that at least once, if not twice, to create 2 or 3 sheets, and then that'll be put through on the big electric drum carder a couple more times. This is one of the other bats. It's just like one of those, you know how sometimes you just get those fleeces and you get those wools that it doesn't matter what you do, they're just going to process super, super easily, just with no issues, so straightforward, so easy. This one I don't even need to put through again. If I didn't want to, I could just spin this one. But I want to get all of the fleece to this stage so that I can start to mix them up and get them like really well blended so that you can't tell, you know, that some fleece was from this section and some fleece was from that section. I want them all to, you know, I want it to be uniform. So don't cut corners when you're processing fleece. Like, make sure that you process enough of it all at once that you have really even and really consistent, you know, bats for when you start spinning, because you'll regret it down the road, because you'll have sections of your sweater or sections of your weaving where you'll be disappointed because it won't be well blended and it won't be really nice, and then you'll have sections in your sweater that's one color and then another section that's another color, or your sleeves will look different. It's worth it to take the time in the blending, in the carding, to really make sure that that's even and to really take the time. Your fiber prep is going to determine the quality of your hand spun yarn. Yes, your skill as a spinner impacts that for sure, but not to the same extent that the fiber prep is going to, because when you have really great fiber prep, it's really easy to draft. And when it's easy to draft, it's easy to draft consistently. And when it's easy to draft consistently, it's easy to create a beautiful singles that doesn't really need to be fixed in the plying. And now you've got a beautiful 2, 3, 4 ply yarn. I hope that makes sense. So, yeah, that is what I've been prepping, and I'm really hoping next week that I can get some more time to spend prepping those, because it is time consuming to do that kind of prep, and I'm almost finished getting the School of Sweet Georgia cotton course ready. I'm almost there, so once I have that finished, I'll be able to work on this stuff through the fall. But we also have to move, we also have to settle in at my mom's. I have to figure out what projects I'm going to take and focus on while we're there. I can always come back and get stuff. It's not like our stuff isn't going to be accessible, but, you know, I want to, you know, have sort of a plan. Okay, last thing. I've been doing some spinning, so let's talk about that last. Okay, Kath just asked a fantastic question. She says, I usually split bats the other way and fluff it out. Do you get better results from splitting it that way, the way that I just showed you guys? So I have always, in my hand spinning career, you see how there's a natural break here? It's from where I use the doffer on the bat. I have always split my bats this way. And just split them all the way down. Try not to create too much fluff in here, because then I start sneezing, and then you guys, it's not very nice for you. So I would do this, and then I would, you know, draft them out, and I would pull them widthwise. This is so nice. Dion, this is so nice. And then I would fluff them out this way. That's not wrong. And I've always done it that way. But since I've gotten my electric carder, I have really found that it's still too much fiber. And it's still too much to put through the carder a second, third, fourth time. And so I have found that by pulling it this way and pulling it into sheets, and I don't mind breaking this one down to show you guys so that, and I don't do this for spinning. This is only to go back on the carder, okay? By doing that, I get an even finer prep to put through the carder, and I don't have to do quite as much fluffing and fussing. I can just put that through the carder. I don't need to do any more, and that gives me, I don't do this for the spinning, I do this for the carding, but I find that gives me a really nice prep to put through. And often what I can get away with is I can sometimes, especially when it's in the early stages of bat making, like this is only the second or I think this is only the second pass, I think. I didn't write it down. I can often do it a couple of times. And it just gives me a thinner, more airy prep. And it's just since I've gotten the electric carder that I've started changing the way that I split them. And I'll sometimes still draft it out and pull it out and add even more air. But I've just found that pulling it into sheets, it's faster and it's ready to go right away. And I can see the tray of the drum carder underneath, and I can break them in half and put them next to each other, and I can just send them through. It's just quick, quick, quick. So that's why. Yeah. Okay. Hand spinning. We already did the jingle. I've got all this like junk and dirt on my phone and on the keyboard. Mike's always complaining. It's quite funny. We have to do this one with photos because I actually don't, it's on my wheel. So while Rebecca was here, at Knit City, the only fiber that I bought was this braid. And the reason why I bought it was because even though it's not really my colors, it was the colorway for Knit City that Megan created for the weekend and for the festival. And it's called Hastings Sunrise. And Hastings is a street in Vancouver. It runs into Burnaby. It's a very famous street. And it takes you all the way from East Vancouver all the way into downtown Vancouver. But it also keeps going on the east side of Vancouver. It keeps going into Burnaby. And you can actually follow Hastings. I think you can follow it if my memory serves me correctly, because we don't drive on these streets that often because we don't live in Burnaby. But Burnaby is one of the first, it's one of the first suburbs of Vancouver when you leave Vancouver, more on the northern side of Vancouver, whereas in the southern side it's Richmond, where the airport is, for those who've been here. But Hastings runs, I think it runs all the way to SFU, to Simon Fraser University, if my memory serves. And I feel like we've taken Hastings all the way to get to downtown Vancouver when we've come from Burnaby, like the odd time once or twice. Anyways, so this colorway was inspired by that area of Vancouver and the sunrise over that part of Vancouver, because you're looking directly at the mountains and into North and West Vancouver. And it's a really unique area of Vancouver because it's very, very, very old. And I always get the colorway that Megan creates for Knit City and Fibers West, and so I bought a braid of it. So this is Haunui Fog, and yes, thank you, Tessa. It's also the name of the Peony neighborhood, and the Peony is where Knit City was hosted. It's no longer going to be taking place there, but it's also going to be it's going to be located. But up till now, other than the first couple of years, it's where Knit City's always been. So which was really cool. It was sort of a tribute to the time that Knit City's been there, and the location and the beauty of Hastings and just the area. And yeah, Tessa lives near that area-ish on the Burnaby side. So it's a fun colorway. Tessa, did you get one? And the Haunui Fog is really fun because the white, the Haunui, the wool itself is not a true white. It's sort of an off gray kind of a color. So it makes all of the colors of the braid a little bit more, like muted almost. And like it becomes a tone rather than a tint or a shade. So the overall yarn is going to be very muted, very not pastel necessarily, but it's going to be very muted. I'm looking for my bobbin of my Triad colorway. It's going to look like this. That's what the bobbins look like. So I'm doing a 3-ply. I broke it up into 3 piles. I weighed them all so they were roughly the same. I didn't want to play around with a bunch of rewinding singles and all that kind of stuff. I decided to do it like on the at the beginning. And let me see, I don't think I created a slideshow for you guys to show you the spinning. So let me just see if I have some photos, and maybe that's why I didn't create them. But I do, so I can. And let me just turn this off so you guys can see the photos. So this is how it's spinning up. So while Rebecca was here, I asked her to try the my Lundrum Saxony, because I was really set on selling it at the show. I was going to put it in Melissa's booth and see if it sold. And I ended up at the last moment deciding that I was going to keep it and for one more year and just see if I could get along with it. My biggest issue with this wheel is that the ratios are not fast enough for me. So the whirl that goes on at the back is 15-1 or 18-1. And for me, for wool, that is not fast enough. I treadle very slowly. It's just a natural state. My hands move very quickly. It's just the way that I do the thing. And so I need, like, I work very well when I have a higher ratio. But while Rebecca was here, she agreed to give it a spin for me and just see what she thought. And so she put it in double drive because it had been kind of in Scotch tension, and then I put it back in double drive, and then I put it in Scotch tension because it can go back and forth. And we put it in double drive, and she made a couple of adjustments, and I tightened up a couple of screws that had come loose over the years of just, you know, neglect, really, more than anything. And she got it spinning beautifully. And one of the things that her and I chatted about was she's really used to this style of wheel, to a Saxony wheel where you have the big drive wheel on one side and you've got the orifice on the off to the side, rather than castle style wheel where you've got things stacked on top of each other. And I said to her, and she showed me a couple of things that work really well for her when she's using her CPW as well as her Ashford Traddy. And we just kind of spitballed some ideas and spitballed some stuff, because it's not because the wheel doesn't work. It's just not that fast. Yeah, so this is the initial spinning that I've been doing on it, and it's been going really super well. And I'm actually really enjoying it, and I'm enjoying just the I guess the rhythm of slowing down a little bit and kind of forcing my feet to go a little bit more. And I keep checking that the singles are adequately twisted. You can see the plyback test there in the second photo here, and just making sure that I am getting enough twist in, because I can see that over time what I do is I default back to my original. One of the things that was really interesting to notice with her was where she sat. So I think where I was sitting before and how I had the wheel angled and whatnot wasn't quite right either. So it was neat to kind of be able to sit with somebody and watch them get along with the wheel, because like Rebecca had it going and was happy with it like almost immediately. And like even the things like the back spin is really bad on this wheel. So like Rebecca was showing me what she does with her Traddy and where she leaves it, and how she gets it to sort of to avoid that really harsh backspin. And it's just a matter of getting used to and just using it. Yeah. Rebecca said it, I have to say, it made me feel like $1 million to contribute to your Saxony experience. Regardless of what you decide, thanks for including me in the process. That's so lovely, Rebecca, of course. It's been kind of a, I wanted this wheel so badly years and years ago. And of course, Gord Lundrum did a run of them during COVID, and me and several people got them. And just to have received it and not have been really super happy with it, it was just kind of a bit of a downer. But maybe I'll get on with it after all. So I'll keep you guys posted, and hopefully we'll have some finished yarn next show. All right. I haven't made much progress on my, where is it? My weaving. My Tofino road trip. This was one of the colorways from Sweet Georgia. And this is BFL silk, and I haven't made much progress on it. So I was really hoping that today I would have it off the loom. I have like 5 inches to go, and I thought for sure I would have some stuff to share with you, but it's not off the loom. It just needs to be hem stitched, and I'll get it done. Hopefully, I'm promising a lot for next show, but I really am hoping that I have some stuff done and that I'm kind of moving on to some new stuff, like getting this fiber prep done. And, you know, I've got some things I want to finish off for the School of Sweet Georgia for the course. And, you know, I'm just sort of really hoping that my days will be used up over the next couple of weeks getting some of this stuff done. So I've really like set aside some time blocks of deep work to get this stuff done. So fingers crossed, because we also have to pack and we also have to move. So there we go. Oh, Christine, I totally understand. I haven't even opened the box of my table loom. Hashtag life. Yes, hashtag life for sure. That is huge right now. It is cutting into a lot of things that I would rather be doing other things, but I just can't because I have these other things I have to do. All right. It's been a long time, and I am so pleased that we are able to do it today, but we have some community participation. So let's do that next before we say goodbye. Eve was saying that if you want to change the tempo of your treadling, you might want to try a metronome. That's a great idea, Eve. My only concern is that I tend to tune them out. my piano teacher used to get so mad at me because she'd be like, "Aren't you listening to the metronome?" And I'd be like, "No, actually I'm not. I don't even hear it." I think it's all of the background noise that you experience when you're nursing. You just learn to tune it out over time, and all that gray noise. But I'll give it a try. I'll report back. I'll let you know how it goes because that's a great idea. Okay, so I promised last show spindle spun season. It came to an end on September 22nd, and I hadn't really talked about it a lot over the summer, but those of you who are participating in the Slack channel and on the Ravelry group, you know who you are. You kept it going this year. I just did not have the spoons to be able to do this. And it's funny because this past week, I actually started a project on my spindles. I don't have enough yet to show you. I'll save it for next show. But I've been doing a little, just a little nest a day and trying to keep up that way. And I've been really enjoying it. So it's not because I don't love spindles. It's just because of life, like Christine said. But these are some of the things that you guys were working on to finish it off. And I realized that I didn't put the right dates here. I have 2024, but this was actually 2025. Like it just finished just in September just now. So this is from Corolla. This is just an unbelievable amount of spinning, Corolla. Like, well done. She's a relatively new member of our community and just spinning up a storm. All this is all the spinning I will manage before the end of spindle spun season, as I will be away until the 22nd without access to my spindles. I totally get it. Good progress, but I still have 3 more colors to go for this project, which is a silk heavy, probably around 20% mix of mulberry, tussa, and sari, with a range of wools. 2-ply, approximately sport weight, possibly for a long color fade cardigan, Corolla. That would be amazing. But we'll see how I feel once it's all spun up. All spun on the Tibetan that is in the picture. I spin a few row legs and then make a ball of singles for plying on the wheel once all the row legs of that color have been spun. Beautiful, really well done. I love that. Love that fade. Yeah, isn't that fantastic, Rebecca? She says, what a fade. This is from Christine. Oh, Christine, just beautiful, beautiful spinning as always. I'm often frustrated when winding a plying ball because of wayward wandering spindles. Hopefully this setup will help. She used Lego. I think that's awesome. It's not proper Lego. She says it's a cheap alternative, but still, this is amazing. Rebecca, challenge accepted. This is from Pauline. Beautiful spinning, Pauline. She's still trying to support spindle every day, or at least every other day. She's trying to do what Rebecca does and do a Rebecca style cop. About a quarter of the braid is going to go onto this spindle, and this is a Bramble Ridge Cormo that she's loving, and it's going to be a 2-ply. I don't think that Pauline's finished the spin just yet. I'm pretty sure I didn't miss that. I don't think she's finished it yet, and if she has, she hasn't posted it yet. So if my memory serves, I don't think that she's done. This is from Evelyn, restarting my spindle project, almost a year of neglect. Well done, Evelyn. From Stephanie, isn't this yarn stunning? I finished my Tour de Fleece spindle spin plied on my Starling, which is a Daedalus wheel for those who aren't familiar. I loved this BFL silk blend from Kim Dye's yarn. I ended up with 420 yards of light fingering 2-ply. That is beautiful, Stephanie. I can't wait to see what you do with it. Gorgeous. This is from Jackie, beautiful yarn, Tour de Fleece spin of a deconstructed bat from Fat Cat Knits, 3-ply mix of fibers and texture, hopefully destined for a weaving project. Awesome. Love these colors. Aren't they fun? They make me think of like Santa Fe and like New Mexico, and I don't know, they always make me think of that area. This is from Lisa. The fin is done, and she's also got some more spinning here on the right hand side of your screen. Just beautiful. I think that one spindle that's over there on right in the middle, but in the second photo at the far end, I think that's an Allen Berry, and like how cool is that? It looks like a little hobbit house or something. It's really cool, really neat. All right, and then this is general makes and shares for you guys, just all the stuff that you guys are working on in the community. This is from Annie. Made a sweater for my toddler out of Shetland fleece that I spun a few months ago. It's an Owlette by Kate Davies. I think this was my favorite fleece to process, and we'll get one from another farmer. And we'll get one from another one from the farmer. Oh, I can't read and speak anymore. I loved this pattern when it first came out, and I have no idea what happened to my owl's sweater, but I loved it. I made it in Cascade Ecological. I think it was way before I started spinning. I did it in like 2006 or 2007, but I loved this sweater. It's so much fun. Also from Annie, I finally finished that borderless or sweater spin that I was fretting about during Tour de Fleece. I remember that. 1,125 yards of DK 3-ply spindle spun on drop spindles, because why not? Absolutely, Annie. And look at that yarn and that swatch. Isn't that beautiful? I realized I actually do need a basic white cardigan to wear over dresses to church, so maybe that's what this is destined for. This yarn is stunning. Like, it is beautiful. So I can't wait to see what you make, Annie. This is from Dion, one of her most recent finishes, her lovely Stick Season by Lyrical Knits. I had this one on the back burner during Tour de Fleece, but now it's done. More info to come in Color Mania. She hosts the monthly Color Mania vlogs, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, in housekeeping, and that is released sort of around the 3rd or the 4th of every month. It sort of depends on when it makes sense in the calendar, but that's for all patrons in the community who are in published tiers on Patreon. Just because of how Patreon works, you will receive that as part of what used to be the monthly teaching content is now Color Mania by Dion, which is really cool. Beautiful, beautiful sweater, Dion. This is from Kaylee. I love the contrasting rib with the main body of the cardigan. I think this worked really well with this particular cardigan. And this is the Felix by Amy Christoffers. Not an intentional sweater spin, but it's all hand spun. A mix of raw fleeces and a bit of commercial comb top. The body is Montedale Romney from Greta Lynn and bits and bobs of Shetland from McTavish Farm. The ribbing is fin that was spun from the fold from commercial top as an experiment. None of them are all that evenly spun nor similar grist, but they all played well together. Yes, they do. It doesn't matter. It'll work. Don't worry about it too much. My one place I wish for improvement is the jog in the sleeve. I did 2 row stripes like the body, and it's a bit gappy and clumsy. Hopefully blocking will help. The pattern is a Felix. Beautiful. I love this, Kaylee. I hope you get lots of wear out of it this fall. And lastly, this is from Philippe, and I hope that this works, but I know for sure, there's gotta be, I might be wrong, but I know that there are people in our community who have not seen wool scouring start to finish in a way that's really approachable and really doable. And Philippe went ahead and made this great video, and it's sped up. He made it like super, super fast. But it's the raw wool, and then scouring it in hot water. He shows checking the temperature. He shows adding the power scour, shows the rinses. This is just a really great little video. So I might have to mute myself, but let me see if this works. So I need me some of these. I love this idea of putting the fleece in drying racks like that and being able to hang it like that and not getting like, not worrying about whether there's like, you know, little insects that are going to get into it or anything like that. I saw this because I've seen like dyers and stuff use these and put like, you know, braids of comb top in them and leave them out to dry. Katrina uses something similar to this. But to like jam all that raw fleece in there, I mean, as long as it gets dry, like what a cool idea. And I thought that was an awesome video. And thank you, Philippe, for showing us your surroundings too, because that's really fun to see as well. So thank you so much, you guys. Thank you for sharing everything that you do and for just being here and for being a part of the Patreon community and for being a part of our community here on YouTube as well as on Instagram. I really appreciate it. It's so great to connect with all of you guys. I hope you have a wonderful couple of weeks. We will be back here next week, same time, same place for the Wool Circle with Rebecca. She is going to continue talking about all this core spinning and super coils and all the things. She's pretty fired up about it all, which is awesome. I love to see that. And until next time, happy spinning, happy weaving. I hope you can get some projects done just like I'm trying to do. And I hope you guys have a really great couple of weeks. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.